Alrighty, welcome to Supernatural Signals, my haunted journal edition. If you're new here, this is my haunted journal. It's where I casually yap about what's going on in my life, especially anything supernatural I'm experiencing. I also share channel updates, everyday life with my boyfriend, and thoughts on things in the media like true crime, though the supernatural is usually the main focus. On this channel, you'll find three types of content: this haunted journal series, short mini mysteries, which you can find over at my shorts tab, and longer investigative deep dive videos. So if anything that interests you, please consider subscribing. Thank you. Alrighty, so I'm going to kick this off. Usually, what I start with these podcasts, quote unquote, is I kind of just discuss things that have been going on with the channel, as well as updates on what I've been enjoying as far as entertainment wise, and just life updates in general. So we'll get that out of the way, and then we'll move into more supernatural talk. And yeah, go from there. So, um, first things first, I am playing some video games that I've been enjoying lately, and I wanted to touch on those briefly. The first video game I've been playing that I want to discuss, or I just finished, was Jenny LeClue. And that is a very, very good cozy mystery game if you're looking into getting into one of those games that you can just like play before you go to bed, just something, it's like a storyline, but you just solve little puzzles. Highly recommend it. It did leave off at a cliffhanger, but it tied up enough where I felt satisfied. But I do hope that they come out with a second one because I thought it was a super cute game. I liked the characters a lot. It was fast paced, but so it held my interest, but it was still a good storyline. It just was like a really cute story. So if you're looking for something like that and you're into like little puzzle games with a good storyline and like little mystery things, highly recommend that one. Then I did play Beacon Pines. It was recommended to me via what I played Jenny LeClue and Detective Grimoire, which I already discussed Detective Grimoire. That was really good as well. Um, you know, I'm not going to be honest. Beacon Pines, it wasn't really for me, and it's not because I thought they did a bad job on it. It has a lot of positive reviews, so keep that in mind. This is just one person's review or idea of it, so just keep that in mind because when I downloaded it, it had a lot of positive reviews. But I it kind of lost the plot for me a little bit. Like I was playing it and it just the concept of the video game is that throughout it there's like a narrator, and then during it you're going on like the storyline, and then they're like, wait, this isn't how it ends, and then like you go pick another word and it changes the whole story. It did too much of that in my opinion. Like I'll be going in a storyline and actually enjoying it, and also they'll switch the storyline, and then you have to get it wasn't for me. And then also the whole there's like some weird gunk that people are experimenting on, and that was kind of too weird for me in just my opinion. Like other people, obviously, because there's a lot of positive reviews, like it. The artwork was great, the music was good, the characters were cute. I really liked the characters. I thought they were adorable. I just didn't the plot line got a little weird for me, and I didn't like the whole changing the endings. I feel like they did too much of that. Like I feel like they made it longer than it needed to be. That's just my opinion. I got a little like, all right, like I was waiting for it to kind of end type thing, which, in my opinion, isn't great for a video game or any type of story. But like I said, I get what they were trying to do. I just feel like it was a little too much. That's in my opinion. But like I said, if you're into cozy mysteries and you want to try, I think there might be a demo. Try the demo and see if it's for you. You might like it because, like I said, there's a lot of positive reviews. So that was on Beacon Pines. And then there's two video games that I'm working through right now. I'm still playing Silk Song. I just posted some of that, the Cogworks Dancers on my Threads account. My Threads account is pretty much just all uh, video game stuff. So if you want to watch playthroughs, I will put that boss on my threads there. So I'm in Cogworks doing that. But then I also played or I started playing this game called The Seance at Blake Manor. And that's really good. Again, it's another cozy mystery game where you solve puzzles and things like that. I'm enjoying it. I only got through the first hour, but later on in this video, I'm going to go back to that video game because something reminded me of childhood there, and I wanted to like bring that up for a topic for this video. So I will get back to that. But then the other video game I'm playing, just to talk about entertainment wise, is uh Foolish Mortals. And that's really good so far. I'm like one third away through, and that's been really fun so far. It's about this guy that goes to, it's like 1933, and he goes to this area that's kind of secluded to see, he's an auditor, but to like find the money of this family that disappeared 33 years ago in the 1900, and have to like solve, it's kind of like a mystery supernatural thing. So it's like up my alley. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I highly recommend that so far as well. So those are the video games I'm playing. Other than that, entertainment wise, nothing too much. I've been busy with human stuff, and then today I'm kind of tired because it's my girly time, and so this weekend I just cuddled with Kermie, honestly, and took Buddy on a few walks. Took him on a walk today, and then played with him in the yard. So I'm very tired today. I wasn't this morning, but playing with him and then taking him on a longer walk today, and yeah, I'm just a little thing. So he was a little restless. So I was like, let's go, Buddy. And then all of a sudden, because I was hyper, and then all of a sudden I'm like, no, I'm exhausted. So if I sound a little tired, I am. Womanly time off, fun. But yeah, so that's what we've been doing. Nothing too exciting. Still need to finish Something Bad Is Really Going to Happen. We really like it so far. We finished most of the first episode. Again, it's just we got distracted with life stuff. Kermie and I have been working on some things, and we got to get back into that. So yeah, that's kind of just updates on me. Channel updates. I am working on a video that should be out early this week. So the latest, probably Wednesday night, Thursday morning, but hopefully Wednesday the latest. So I'm working on that, and that will be coming out soon. Um, all right. So moving on, let's move on to um, some supernatural stuff, both in the media as well as just stuff I've been thinking about and noticing in the universe, and then also like actual activity. Okay, so the first thing I want to touch on, as far as this is not necessarily like activity or anything like that, it's just something I noticed with the universe, and I just like to point it out. So when I was a kid, I was a huge doodler. Like I was just someone that like on my homework, I would have doodles on everything. If I was talking on the phone, I would doodle on something. If I was, sitting for an appointment, or like if I had a pen and there was paper nearby, no matter what it was for, like my mom's documents were just doodles of my stuff. Like it was just, that's, I doodled. And so, um, and one of my doodles that I did a lot of was this spiral. I would make a spiral, and then I would put lines in between the spiral. So I would like make lines kind of coming out from the center outwards, right? And I would do that constantly. Um, and so I was playing the video game, The Seance of Blank Manor. And towards the bottom, when they transition to another screen, they have like a little, like for most video games, when you're transitioning to another screen, or they're saving the game or whatever the case may be, they'll, for the loading, they'll have like a little icon at the bottom. So it's like loading or saving or whatever. And they had that. And it was like that symbol I used to draw. Very similar. Not exactly, but very, very similar. And it brought me back to me doing that doodle, and I haven't thought about that in years. Like, and I just remember doodling that all the time. There is something else that kind of got brought back to me that I did as a child in 2023. I'm not going to really talk about that now. I feel like I'm going to save that for another video. I just feel like we'll say that for another video, but it's kind of like the similar thing where I would notice things a lot, and it would like kind of be an obsession with me. And then in 2023, it kind of like, it always kind of stuck with me. And then 2023, it was just like, okay, this means something, right? And that's why I don't want to talk about it right now, because, we're chilling today. So as much as we can. So like, so I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, so in my mind, I'm like, I want to continue playing that video game because I'm like, maybe there will be some meaning behind it. Maybe there will be like, I don't know. And now when I say meaning behind it, I mean it specifically for me, right? Because it's my journey, it's my spiritual connection. But it made me start thinking. And then I was working on, and like I said, how the universe, if you allow it, will start connecting the dots for you, right? And I was working on that video I was talking about, the one that's coming out later this week. It's an Egyptian video. And during the script, I say, in the script, I say, like, kind of like I'm doing an immersive dialogue, I guess, where you like wake up and you're like, don't know where you are in your surroundings, but you see, excuse me, you see symbols on the wall. And in this context, it's Egyptian symbols, right? Because this is an Egyptian video, obviously. And in the script, I say, you wake up and you see these symbols, but you don't know what they mean, but you know that you used to know what they mean. And so it's not like you've never seen them before and it's just a language you don't know. It's a language you forgot, right? And that's kind of how I remembered the 2023 thing I talked about, as well as the recent spiral thing that I just spoke about. And it made me start thinking about like how the universe, because whatever you believe, because I believe all sorry, buddy is joining in. Um, Hi, buddy. He says hi. um, um, it it started making me think about the things that we do subconsciously that we have no idea could be whatever you believe in, the universe, wherever we're from, like giving you signs and memories that you just don't know of, right? Like you just don't remember and you think it means nothing. And then as you go through your journey, it comes back to you. Because I have the belief with the supernatural and with the universe and where our quote unquote home really is supposed to be, because I don't think it's here. Um, Sorry, buddy's hugging me while I'm doing this. Yes, my buddy, you got so much attention today. He says, not enough. But he's literally like has his arms wrapped around my waist right now. I see. um, but you know, I feel like the universe will introduce it to you slowly, right? Because it's like, we always talk about like the idea of like, oh, going to heaven would be the best thing because you're going with your home, and or going to whatever you believe in, Buddhism, like everyone thinks like dying, you're going home, right? That's what they call it. I don't think they talk about how much though trauma that is, because you're I fully believe from my experience, not only are you missing the people that you met on earth that are probably connected to you in a way in the universe, but you're also probably forgot about people that stayed there and doing their job in the universe, that their job wasn't for the earth right then, right at that time. And you probably forgot about them for whatever the heck our mission is for, right? And that's probably a lot of like, I had this whole other life. I had this whole other people that loved me. I had all this and I was lied to. And that's a lot to handle. So I do have that thing where it gets introduced in a slower way, right? And I feel like stuff like that you would doodle as a kid, songs that you would hum as a kid that just would come in your head, or maybe your mom subconsciously hummed it to you and then you started humming it. And then, yes, it's connected to your mom, but it might be even connected to someone else that you loved in the universe, right? That's how I look at it, right? Like, I don't, I feel like connecting the universe side as well. Buddy, get your butt over here. Oh, that's why you was. Come here, buddy. He's trying to eat his sister's bathroom. Buddy, come here. Get your. Anyway, I like how I'm talking about supernatural stuff and my dog's trying to eat my cat's stuff. He's like, I'm trying to help you quit it. Anyway, so that's why he was trying to. He was a little like, look, mommy, I love you, giving me hugs, and then ran to go get his sister's stuff. Anyway, continuing on about the universe. I don't know, and so I do think that's kind of another example of the universe quietly being like, "Hello, remember us?" And then it brings back these emotions of being a child, and then eventually, I feel like, and then memories, and then eventually, I think the bigger picture is to get memories of even before this life, right? Because you forget memories as a child. You're like, oh, the smell and the thing and the nostalgia, right? We always talk about the nostalgia. I think that, which is great, but I think the real nostalgia is going to hit people as people more and more go through their spiritual journey with symbols that you forgot about, right? And that the universe is kind of like, remember. And then I think, in my theory, that's kind of how you get introduced back to who you were, who your family was. Like, I feel like we're all a family if you want to get philosophical and all that, but like who your little tribe was, like who, like, you know what I mean? Your, where you felt safest, right? And I kind of feel like that's one of the ways to do it, right? You start smelling things, and then it's like, instead of being familiar with just like your mom's cooking or your dad's cooking or whatever the case may be, it's like, this is really familiar, but I don't remember its significance in my childhood, right? Like, and as you go on that spiritual journey, I feel like the universe finds it safer to introduce you to that side, because you can say, like, oh, I'd be so excited to know about this life and blah, blah, blah. But personally, I think that would take a lot of, I don't know, it would be a lot, right? It would be a lot, because everyone talks about, like, when I get to heaven, I'm going to see my grandma, I'm going to see my dogs, I'm going to see my cats, I'm going to see my family members I lost. But I think people forget about things that you don't even remember, right? So I don't know. And like I said, if you start your spiritual journey down here, I think it's a whole other can of worms. And personally, I believe more and more people are going through our spiritual journey for a greater purpose, not just for themselves, but for, we're getting good at our skills and things like that for a greater purpose, right? And I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it, but it just kind of like crossed my mind of the nostalgia aspect of it, where I think it's a beautiful thing, but I also think it'd be kind of scary too, right? And I don't even know if scary is the right word. It's just overwhelming. Overwhelming can be the right word, right? And you know, I don't know. It was just one of those things where it hit me with a kind of like a thing of like, oh my God, I used to doodle that all the time. And then that opens a memory. And then maybe there's a memory that's so deep in my unconscious that it'll be like, oh my God, that symbol like was on my bed when I was in a different universe that I saw every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't know, right? Anyway, I know that was a little left field, but that was my thought process. All right, let's move on. Okay, so there is okay, so if you're new to my channel, Buddy has been experiencing a lot of activity, mainly in the living room. It's not even just Buddy, but I feel like there's been a lot of activity in the house I live. And I put up cameras to monitor the activity as well as monitor my dog when I'm not there, or my cat when I'm not there, right? So I put one in my bedroom and in the living room. And since then, I did catch activity in there. I totally believe I did. You can watch my previous haunted journals. I am still going to do, or you can still wait for my summation video. I promise I'm working on that. I just, like I said in my earlier video, life be life. So, nothing thing. It's just life be life. So, I'm going to work on that. So I will, once I do that, I will pin that video to my comments or in my description. So people will have that to check out for future videos to catch up on it. But basically, long story short, I've been monitoring activity. Now, I've mentioned this many times that Buddy gets scared of the outside sometimes. Like, he will not go outside, or if I take him on his walk, he will try and go home when there's nothing else that's like affecting him. Or, like I said, he won't even want to stay out of the back patio. So, I got a camera for the living room and my bedroom, and now I got an outdoor camera for Buddy. and for also safety, right? Like my boyfriend likes it for safety too. He's like, I'm not gonna argue with that. Like, it's people will be cray lately. So I got a camera, but it's mainly to also see if there's any activity because in one of my videos I saw a lot of orbs. And recently in some footage I just saw, think I saw a bunch of orbs too, and like a lot of them. And so I am going to put that in my summation video. I'm not going to do it right now because I have to like organize the videos and just thing. I'm going to make it, I promise. But like it basically, I feel like I saw a bunch of orbs when I was bringing Buddy back in, and I just, you'll see in the video. But and then I also heard a really weird sound in one video as well that I'm going to get include in my summation video. But just to keep you updated, I am going to put tonight it just came in the mail the other day, a night cam for the outside to monitor, first of all, Buddy, because he doesn't like being alone. Like he hates being alone. Like that dog, if he is alone for more than 5 minutes, he thinks we just like left him. And I don't know. He's like his mama. He has abandonment issues. So and so I don't like to leave him in the backyard that long by himself. But if I ever happens, like if I'm on a work call or something like that, or like, I'm taking a shower, I like to have that to monitor him just because I'm his mama. And as well as the fact that I want to see if there's any activity at night. Obviously, we don't leave him out at night alone. Like, we don't just be like, bye, buddy, and like let him sleep outside. I would never do this, my baby. But but I but like during the night I want to see what goes on there, because there's some nights he will not go out, and I'm like, I know you haven't peed in like 6 hours, bro. And then when he finally does pee, he's peeing for like 10 minutes. So I'm like, you was holding it and you was just too scared to go outside. That's a problem. Like, so like I just like I don't know. So I'm gonna be monitoring that all. So I have three cameras. I have one for the backyard, one in the living room, and one in my bedroom. That's it's like in my bathroom, but it's like facing my bed. So, and like I said, I promise I will do summation and include footage. I promise that's coming. Um, but yeah, so that's what's going on in the activity realm for sure. There's also been, I feel like, some glitches, but I overthought them. And I did this thing where I feel like you're not supposed to do, where you overthink the supernatural and think it was just you. And so I'm not going to include it because I feel like I feel like it's not valid enough to include it right now. So maybe I'll backtrack on it later on, but that is what's going on in my world. Let me put it this way: the glitch wasn't like the PayPal experience that I had, where I'm like, I know, you know what I mean? Like, I know this was a glitch. Versus this was like, okay, I'm like just really tired, which could be, again, it's my girly time or whatever the case may be, but so that I kind of like, I guess, talked myself out of, but I might go back to it. Um, so let's move on into some stuff in the media. Okay, so switching over to stuff in the news, like I said, there has been apparently a bunch of scientists, I believe six. At first I read eight, but then someone said six, so it might be six or eight. It's a lot. Since 2025, scientists that work with like classified information have gone, like defense classified information, have gone missing. And you can say like, oh, it's just coincidence, but it's kind of a strange coincidence. And I guess right now the internet is abuzz about if it's aliens or whatever the case may be. But I do think it's a very, I don't know, it's a very, it feels very targeted, right? Like the victims seem very targeted, right? If it is the same person doing it. If not, it's like the biggest coincidence. And they all went missing, and these are like I said, very educated, very like top of the line, working for the government people. And like I said, it's been, I think it was like June of 2025 they started missing. Um and some of these cases are weird. So but there's not, it's so weird because there's not, when I even chat GPT'd it, there's not a lot of information with chat GPT. I googled it, there's just not a lot of information on the case, so it's kind of hard to like discuss it. Because I googled it really quick, and I just, I don't know. It's very weird. And then when I Google AI, they're like, it doesn't seem like there's any patterns here. And I'm like, what are you trying to hide, AI? I'm just kidding. But that was a joke. People don't get that. But there was okay, so I'm watching a podcast about this is like the most information I can find about it. Surviving the Survive. They were talking about a guy that name was Grillmar, and apparently he was like a genius, and he was working to find water on other planets, and he lived a very remote life. Like I guess he's one of those guys that so smart he doesn't want to talk to anybody. And then obviously maybe because he does work on the planets, he can see the stars the best that way. Well, I guess he had a neighbor, and again, he lives remotely, so his neighbors are miles away, right? It's not like a neighbor is just like right across the street. And his neighbor was Freddie Snyder, and he was on a property with his rifle one day, and Carl apparently called the cops on him because, again, if a man was just standing in your in your driveway with a freaking rifle, you call the cops, right? And they basically arrested him, but then he got released. And this was back in December of 2025. So he gets released, and then once he gets released in February, he shoots Carl. Now Carl's dead. So that's like one of the biggest ones that kind of like was like, what the heck? It was like he was targeting Carl, and it seems like Carl kind of kept to his own and wanted to do his scientific research, right? So it's like, why would his neighbor that lives miles away want to kill him? Another lady passed away from hiking. She went hiking. I believe her name was Monica Reyes, I believe. Um, Another person on February 27th. So that I think was the most recent one. You know, Will McCaslin, I believe it is. Miss McCaslin, William McCaslin. Again, he super smart guy, worked in the government. Um, he went missing February 27th. So all these people, like one lady was just like taking a walk and just disappeared. It's very strange. William McCaslin didn't take his stuff that he usually takes with him. It it's like these scientists are targeting, and people can say like, oh, it's just a coincidence, like da 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 da, but it's like in a short amount of time is my issue with it. If this happened in like 10 years at a time, I would be like, eh. But it hasn't even been a year, and six scientists that they do say, some of them, they say four of them or three or four are like worked like 6 degrees separation, so they had some kind of similar work, but they weren't like besties or anything like that. So there is like some kind of subtle connection, but it feels like they were taken out like individually. And I know it sounds crazy, but and three of them are confirmed dead from my understanding. And like I said, I got this information from Surviving the Survivor. Um, yeah, and it's just like not a lot of information. Um, William, the William, I'm terrible pronouncing names, but sorry, I'm opening my notebook. But William, I took notes, aren't I cool? William, uh, McCaslin, he apparently, like I said, was the most recent one, and I don't know. It's just very strange that all this happened in a very short amount of time. Um, some people are saying it's government issues. Some people are saying aliens. The presidents have confirmed aliens for years. I don't know why the presidents are so comfortable with outing out aliens and no one else in the government seems to. I don't know. I find that interesting. The thing about with the presidents that people have to remember, the presidents can only hold office for 8 years. And I feel like it's designed that way, right? There's only so much they can do, and then they can get another president, and the other president can work on changing the stuff that the previous president made, and they're just doing all this changing back and forth and all this stuff. You know, they can make change in office, but as far as like what really goes on the government, they're just there for 4 years, right? Talking to the masses, right? And so you have to think that, you know, the president is just like one layer of everything in my conspiracy brain, right? Um, Not saying obviously their job's not important. I mean, it's the president of the United States. Job's important, but clearly, but y'all get what I'm saying. It's like there for 4 to 8 years, and that's it, right? Like in the grand scheme of billions of years on Earth, it's nothing if you're looking at a universe wise, right? So I do find that interesting. I don't know. I don't know about the alien concept. I don't know why aliens would target people doing research. Maybe they aliens don't want to be discovered, but they weren't working on alien stuff. They were working on water on other planets and, defense things, from my understanding. But everything was classified, so I guess we don't know for certain. But that's another thing. There's not a lot in the media, and my thought process on that is that there's not a lot in the media because what they were working on was classified. And the more they put stuff in the media, the more people start asking questions, right? They don't really want people to talk about it. They just want them to think, oh, it's just coincidence, move on, and that's it. So that's my thought process on it. But yeah, it's very strange that all these people just go missing in less than a year. Like I said, if this happened in a span of even 5 years, I would have been like, that's a little weird, but it totally could make coincidence, right? Less than a year, right? And it seemed very targeted. For what they do, it's just very, and the way they just disappeared, like it's very strange. So yeah, there's missing things about it, and like I said, with Savannah Guthrie's mom, you see it in the news everywhere, right? And these are profile people too, just in a different way, and there's not a lot of information out there. I don't know. I think that's creepy. It's like they don't want the information out there. Um, but yeah, because you would think, there's just not a lot. I googled it and I don't know. And then when I give it to ChatGPT, they're not giving much either. So I don't know. I'll keep monitoring it. But I don't think much is going to come out of it. If not, they're just going to tie it up in a bow and carry on. But I don't think it's a coincidence. Like I said, if it was in a longer span, if it happened, within 3 to 5 years, 10 years, I'd been coincidence. But less than a year, and the neighbor being like super, super like targeting that guy, getting out of jail and going to his house, knowing he's going to go to prison because who else would have done it? I don't know. And like I said, I don't think the universe works including aliens, or maybe it's a dark entity. It might not be aliens, it could be a dark entity, or whatever the case may be, because there's different ways you can go with the supernatural. If it is that way, like I I feel like there's ways for people to do certain biddings, right? So they don't have to do much to motivate people. Let's put it that way. So, and that's my cat, and that's my cue to go. But I hope you all enjoyed this one. Kitty, she was hungry. Kitty, yeah, yeah. Okay, so, um, I cleared off the bed so she doesn't have her pillow to lay down on. It's just a lot is going on. Buddy's trying to eat her poop, and now she's crying because she doesn't have a pillow to lay down, and she's hungry. So much going on. All right, so I'm gonna go. I hope everyone is having a great week. I'm gonna go eat dinner. I just ordered Greek food, and Kermie and I are gonna curl up, and then I'm gonna work on these videos this week. I promise. But other than that, thank you for listening, and I hope everyone has a great week. And as always, stay curious and stay tuned into the supernatural. Thanks for watching.